So that's less than 5% of the total would generate a record at all, and it wouldn't tell us very much. So that's just, yeah, that's a 2-year-old chough. It's a rather sad one. She didn't actually enter the breeding population, but she did go about 30 kilometres before she was predated. Okay, some graphic things. I'm going to have to be quite quick here, but all this is trying to show is that, oh, sorry, I'm trying to do the pointer. There's the pointer. So from all of the chicks that we ring, only just over 50% of them are ever seen again at any point in their lives. By the time you get to the 1st of January, by the time the birds reach their calendar year after the one in which they were hatched, so that means they're about 6 months of age, there's only less than a quarter of them still alive, and by 12 months after that, it's about 1 in 6 here, and then after that, the loss of the mortality kind of levels out a bit, and so if a chough manages to survive its first 2 or 3 years, it's got a bit more experience, it knows what's going on, it may have settled at a breeding site with a partner, and it's got as good a chance of carrying on to the next year as a bird that's, you know, twice its age or 4 times its age. So you get a long, slow plateauing there. The next slide is absolutely horrible. I apologise in advance, but we I just wanted to show this line, and again also apologise that this is only the clean subset of our whole data set, because we thought, well, we've got to start analysing somewhere. But we separated it into the year cohorts, the year groups, because different year groups fare very differently. You can see the same overall pattern is on the previous slide, but what really stands out that I wanted to show on this one is this. Is that a turquoise line? It was turquoise before. That's 2004, and it's just really, really good survival there, not only in the first, clearing the first new year and the second year, but into 2, 3 and 4 years after ringing. And that 2004 bumper year, we've still got quite a lot of 12-year-old birds in the nesting population today. So yeah, that year stood out, but you can see the other years vary. Move on. Yeah, I was just trying to represent that previous thing. This is the same data, presented differently. Trying it again to show for different year groups, birds ringed in different years. We've got good years and bad years. If you look superficially at the heights of the columns, you might think that 96 and 2002 were really good years, because about 80% of those birds were ever seen in their lives. But the progressively darker colours going down here are the fact that they've been seen in subsequent years. And so if you cast your eye just over the dark line at the bottom, which are ones seen in or after their 3rd calendar year, here's 2004, and we've never had a season like it before or since. It's just amazing. The lack of dark in the last few years is because I did this analysis in 2014, and obviously the 2013 ones had only got a chance to be 1 year old, and the 2012 ones had only got a chance to be 2 years old, so that's why there's no dark bits at the bottom there. Does that kind of make sense? Sorry, I'm gabbling rather. Let's move on hastily. So yeah, this is just a reminder of causes of mortality for young and not very clued up choughs out of the nest. Predation is a major factor. That's not a young one, that's an adult trying to send the peregrine on its way. Sorry, not a great picture. But ravens will also predate newly fledged and chicks in the nest if they're hungry and making a noise, and if it's one of the nests that's not deep in a cavern like the sort of sites Tony was describing. They can get swamped when they come out of the nest. If they're on the floor of a wet sea cave and they're hiding under the rocks at the bottom, they can get swamped by the tide and never actually make it out of their sea cave. And they can get eaten by things like foxes when they're at that stage as well, hiding under boulders on the ground. Yeah, so the main task for the parent birds, that the youngsters are completely dependent on the parents for the first few weeks, feeding them and showing them where to go. But the parents have to introduce them to the local youth club. So the local non-breeding flock As soon as the young birds are there, the parents will stay around for a week or two and then go back home to their nest sites, and the youngsters are left with the group, and the group, as a group, that's how the youngsters learn where to go to feed, the best places to go to roost, and they also make their preliminary pair bonds, and they break their preliminary pair bonds and make more preliminary, just like a real youth club. So that happens quite a lot. I should say that adult choughs are pretty faithful to both their nesting sites and to their partners, but pre-breeding age, anything goes. So, yeah. Yeah, we've been completely trumped by Bob in Pembrokeshire. We thought we were doing really well here, but as you heard this morning from Yolo's introduction, Bob has got a 22-year-old chough. Well, we can't beat that, not for another couple of years, because our oldest, again, excuse the names, Mr. Cleggia, lives in Slate Quarry near to Llanberis, and I was very pleased to see him this spring because he's 21 this year, and he's just, I think he's had about 5 different nest partners. Unfortunately, their nest was disturbed this year and that failed. But we've got 4 20-year-olds coming along fast behind, 2 males and 2 females, and 1 each of those was productive this year. Worthy of a special mention is this one, Mr. St Mary's Well, who was one of the 20-year-olds. That was the hole where you saw my feet sticking out. But his lifelong partner was 19, so that was our oldest combined pair, 19 and 20. And between those two, they produced 50 chicks in their lifetime. And I think 4 of those lived to breed, 3 of which are still alive, 2 of them on Bardsey. So yeah, they were a star pair and they've now gone. So they've died since the breeding season, so we're sad to see those go. Okay, this is looking at over 400 choughs where we ringed them as chicks and we've subsequently identified them breeding at their own nest sites. So this is a minority of them. Most of them will have died before this happens. So for this group of 400, this is just showing the sort of distances the nest sites are from where they were raised. And you can see the furthest points are, both of these are single birds on the Isle of Man, which that went to the Isle of Man to breed. Much more interesting, I think, is splitting this graph into 2, into the males and the females. So you can see we've got 200 males and just over 200 females. So the pattern for the males is very clear. The young birds travel widely. The youth clubs travel a lot. The birds go to and from quite big distances in their first couple of years. But the tendency is for the males to come home. Boys come home and set up, try and occupy territories near to where they've come from. I shouldn't say try, but that's what happens. And the distances from their natal site falls away quite quickly. But as usual, there's always an exception to the rule. And this one here, our furthest breeding bird, is a male on the Isle of Man. Whereas the females, the distance that they are from the site they come from averages about 20 to 25 kilometres from their nest site. So they go further away, they mix with other birds in the youth club, but they haven't got quite such a strong tendency to return to their natal sites. So some of them do, all of these ones have. Anyway, moving on. I've picked out here our 7 biggest movements or nicest birds just to show you. These aren't movements to nest sites necessarily, these are just movements over 100 kilometres. So I think a few of them are breeding, about half of them are breeding birds. The square boxes, can you see the square boxes, are where the birds oh, you can't really see the map, can you? Can you see the map? That's Wales, Anglesey. So the square boxes are where they start, and the round circles are subsequent sightings. This bird here started on Anglesey. She went all the way down to Craigwederin, Bird Rock in Meirionydd, and she also went to the Ceredigion coast in her first couple of years before returning home. She then became a breeding bird on Roscollin and she used to take her brood of chicks on a regular basis. We used to see her in the Llanberis Youth Club here, and then she'd go home again, having dumped the kids in the youth club. Then we've already mentioned the Isle of Man. We've had odd records on the Isle of Man, but in 2004, that amazing year in 2004, there were at least 7 colour-ringed birds, and they probably went with some others without colour rings and some that didn't get identified. There was an exodus of choughs from North Anglesey to the Isle of Man, and we've never had anything like that before. We've had nothing on that scale since. Quite a few of them stayed there for a couple of years, then 3 of them came back again. 2 of those turned into breeding males, surprise, surprise, on Anglesey, and one of them is still alive today. It's the one on the nest camera at the RSPB South Stack, the Ellen's Towers on the nest. So that's Mr. Mousetrap. I think that's, I'll just point out, this one is one from Cwmtidi in South Wales that did this is a young female from 2004 again, quite a big movement up to the Aber Valley in North Wales, and then subsequently seen at Deganwy. Although she lived into her 3rd year, she never actually managed to breed, so that was a bit sad. This one here is a flash in the pan, young male shot over to Lancashire, where he ended up at Haysham Power Station. I expect he wondered where the hell he was when he got there, and he didn't last very long. We think he got eaten by a local falconer with a Harris hawk. Sorry, he probably got caught by the Harris hawk along with him.
5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, sorry, okay. This splodge is just to show, again, we analysed the clean birds movements, and this is all of the movements of young birds that originated on the Llŷn Peninsula, just to show how far they all went. So, hurry on. Breeding birds on the Llŷn, the big yellow circles are where birds originated, the nests where they were ringed. The small blue circles are the nests where they themselves nest, so that you can see if one's on top of the other. So these are just movements from clean nest sites to clean nest sites. Then we've got birds that were born on the Llŷn that dispersed to various nest sites off the Llŷn, again right down to South Ceredigion and onto the Ormes and to North Anglesey. And then we've got a similar converse of that, which are choughs from all over the place that ended up nesting on Anglesey. Sorry for okay, I just wanted to mention a bit more of the fun stuff, because although we've ringed 5,000 chicks, we've only managed to ring 145 new adult birds. They're a bit more hard to catch. They sort of fly away and see you coming and things. We usually have to go out in the dark and dazzle them. We've probably caught about double that, because some of them are birds with rings on where there's been rings missing and we've needed to confirm the identity. That was the case with this bird. This is Mr. Tanagrisha. We didn't know at the time because he'd lost half his rings, so he's there in a new set of bling. But he's an interesting bird because he came from a now extinct nest site in the Blaenau Ffestiniog area. He bred at 3 different nest sites in the Blaenau Ffestiniog